Hello folks, Chad Stanton here, a professional woodworker of now over 25 years, sharing my experiences with you. Now normally on the show I'm quite familiar with the subject matter and I show you all my tips and tricks for it. However, on today's episode I am totally clueless. What am I talking about? Well, let me just show you. Okay, so the other day I received this package from Ortur. Now, what's inside here is a laser engraving machine. Now, again, I know nothing about this, and I have to admit that when it arrived, it was kind of a smaller package than I expected. It's only about 15 pounds, and, well, I'm not exactly even sure how big this machine is or what the setup's gonna be. So let me open it up and just kind of see what all it comes with. And this is the Laser Master 3 model. It only took me a minute to get everything out of the box, and well, as you can see, there is a little bit some assembly required with it, but it doesn't look too bad. I mean, in fact, when you look at the picture on the box, it looks like there's only 5 pieces, and there's really not too much more to it than a few extra cables and, you know, just a few belts or something to put on. So included in all this kit was a manual specifically for, I imagine, putting this together. It's the thicker of the 3 manuals in it. So this will show me how to assemble it and probably explain some of the capabilities of the machine itself. It also came with its own little manual about the laser module. So there must be some pretty important things regarding this. I liked this. It came with a double check checklist, some things they want you to verify before you try turning on and running the machine. And then my favorite of all, the frequently asked questions and maintenance manual, because the Lord knows I'm gonna have a lot of questions. All right, so I'm not gonna bore you in the video with me putting this together, but I will time it to see how long it takes me to assemble it. I'll read all the manuals, and I might even get online and look at their website, maybe check out a few videos or something like that, just to see what it is that this machine is capable of doing and what I should expect. So let me do this and then I'll get back with you. At this point in the manual, you can see I have pretty much most of this put together. Still have a few other little cables and stuff here, but it looks like in the manual now it's gonna have me register this online so I can use, I imagine, some kind of software or something. For the most part, it went together pretty straightforward. The directions were decent. I did have a few little things that I found it was a little bit difficult for me. For example, going down this support here, this track, inside it there's a cable and it has to plug into this unit. That wasn't too bad, but the cable actually comes out of this piece, and when putting this together, I have to pull a cable, get the track on there, and put the screw. It was a little awkward. I think probably a third hand might have come in handy with that. Here's a couple other things. So in the directions for this idler assembly, this little wheel or pulley, it isn't real clear on where the washer position should be, so I think this is how you do it. To put the timing belt on, you first have to remove these side covers, and there's one on each side of the machine. Now, take note that there's actually 3 screws, the top, the bottom, and one on the side. Now wrap the timing belt around the pulley, and then you have to make sure that the belt goes in this little rib section of the X-axis assembly, or the unit won't move. Now the last thing on the directions that wasn't real clear to me was we're back at this first little pulley or wheel, and to adjust the tension on the belt, you first have to insert this little Allen screw and turn it until the belt is at the tension you want. And then also hooking up the wires. Not too bad. I mean, the directions pretty straightforward, and maybe if you've assembled other laser engravers, maybe it would have made more sense. But for me, a couple of things I did was I wanted to, it came with some zip ties to hold the cable on. And one thing is there is a belt underneath here. So when you put the zip tie on to hold your cable, make sure you don't fasten that belt too. That could be a big problem. And then also, I hope I can move this manually. I wanted to move it from side to side all the way to make sure that this cable had enough room to move in the process. Now, this is the cable that I'm not exactly sure if I have it going together the right way. It connects underneath here, and I'm assuming maybe the cable should come around to the outside, not on the inside and over. I'm assuming it comes on the outside, again, for this to move, and hopefully the cable won't, I don't know, be any kind of a clearance issue. Just something that I felt needed to be clarified a little bit more. I have about 34 minutes into assembling this so far, and I didn't think that was bad. Obviously, I'm still not done. I have a few more things to go through on this, but I thought it went together, you know, reasonably well. I also then looked online, and I saw another fella with a video, and he assembled his in 15 minutes. So I'm feeling kind of stupid at this point. So if anyone asks, I did this in 10. I'll continue on and finish reading the rest of the manual, see what it takes to register and load this. I'm not sure if I'm using a laptop for the next procedure, or if there's an app that can be done on the phone. So I'll find out and let you know. It's been about a week, and I've had some free time to play with the laser engraver, so I thought I would just give you kind of a brief overview of some features about it. Now, the directions say that it has a working field of 400 by 400 millimeters. And not being familiar with metric, I looked that up, and it's about 15 3/4 inches. Though I thought I measured it a little bit longer in length. I seem to come out with about 17 1/4. But at any rate, it's real close to 16 by 16 that you get to work with. And I actually should take the time to learn more of the metric system, because as I found, not only this uses metric, the software was using metric, different programs use metric, so it's a pretty good idea that I learned to use the metric system. The laser on it, this is a 10-watt laser, and it's a diode laser. And I learned that there are CO2 powered lasers and this diode laser. And the diode laser seemed to be more rugged, which is probably a good thing for me, because when I'm not using this, I'm going to be moving it and putting it away either under a bench or in a cabinet, so it's probably that it's a more durable type. It has a panic stop button here that instantly shuts the machine down. I use this quite a bit actually, because I found I didn't quite have my workpiece in the right place, and when it would start, well, it just wasn't going where I wanted it to, so I had to hit the panic on it. Comes with these keys, so you can essentially lock it so no kids can get access to it. But look, I gotta tell you, even if they didn't have keys, if they just power this thing up, it's not gonna do anything unless it gets a command, and you need some kind of equipment to give it the command. So you have to be a pretty smart kid to hurt himself. However, it still does have some safety things. It has anti-tipping, so when the laser gets a certain distance away from its project, it shuts off. So if this was to fall off your bench, you don't have to worry about it like being a lightsaber and cutting your bench in half. To be quite honest with you, I don't even know why it would fall off the bench, because it moves really smooth and it's very quiet. So anyhow, it's just an extra feature. They do include, and this is kind of stupid on my part, but I really like it, they do include these glasses because I find it's almost hypnotic. You want to watch the laser as it's cutting, and it's probably best to protect your eyes from those wavelengths that are coming at you. And it gives you this cloth little bag because I have so much sawdust around here. Without it, I guarantee it, these would get scratched up. As I mentioned before, it has a Wi-Fi capability, and there's an app that I can download for my phone, and I can actually have my designs and programs on the phone, and I can make the machine run from the phone. But to be honest with you, I haven't even tried that yet. I'm just trying to learn how to use the equipment and the software that I currently know. So that brings me to another point. Now, with this machine, you do need some kind of laptop or your phone, and I thought once I plugged the machine into the computer, beepity boop, it would all come on and I could start making it print things or laser engrave things. Well, no, it didn't quite exactly work that way. So I noticed at the end of the manual, it talked about I could go to this website called Lightburn, and I could get the software there. So I did a Google search for it, and what it is that's like a third-party manufacturer of the software for the machine. Now, at first, it didn't make sense to me. Like, why don't they provide you with their own software and programs to run the machine? But then it kind of made sense. Like, I think of a new TV, right? If I get a new LG TV, I can't just start streaming movies. I have to first load it with Netflix or Amazon Prime or Hulu. Kind of the same thing. And Lightburn was one of those software programs out there that a lot of online guys are using, and there's a whole bunch of them. But there was a 30-day free trial period with Lightburn, and then it went to a paying fee after that. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not exactly sure how much I'm going to use this, how much time I'll have for it. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to spend the money. So I was able to find this software called Laser GRBL, or some people call it Laser Gerbil. And this was free. I was able to download it, and now the machine could read the laptop. Well, sort of. I kind of had a problem. It didn't make much sense to me what I was looking at, and I was in a hurry. So I just asked my neighbor, Evans Jenkins, to come over, and he's a mechanical engineer and he works in automation all the time. So it made sense to him. We were able to just download a couple little JPEGs, and we were able to try and watch the laser machine go. But that was far from me being able to use it. So let me tell you what I wound up doing next. So wanting to quickly learn the basics of this machine, once again I turned to the internet and YouTube, and I came across this guy called 3D Printing Professor. Now, obviously his videos are primarily with doing 3D printing, but he did have this video on how to use the software, this Laser GRBL, and to make a quick project. And one of the projects that he does is he shows you how to make this little keychain. It does a couple of things. One, you're going to be able to engrave the letters on it, and so there's a format for that. But then, when it's done engraving, it will actually cut this out. So I have this bigger oval here and then this small circle. And that's a different little format that you do, but it's all in the same program. So he walks you through that. I just think it's a fantastic exercise. It's a good video. I will say, though, that he uses terms pretty comfortably that are, in my opinion, a little high-tech because I have no technology. So he's able to speak kind of fast and use these terms, and I had to go back and watch the video a couple of times because I found I missed something he said, and it didn't perform the way I wanted. But overall, it's a great video. I'll have that link in the description below if you want to practice with one of these machines. From that, then, he talks about there's another program in it called Inkscape. So I wasn't quite sure what that was. Essentially, Inkscape helps you design what you want. The laser Gerbil are just the commands then to make it print out or cut out whatever you would need on that. So I watched another video by a guy called TJ Free. He reviews all kinds of different softwares and programs out there, and he has 87 videos on teaching all the ins and outs of this program called Inkscape. And so I didn't watch all of them. I watched about 5. I plan on watching them. And I was able to design these little tags for my furniture. This was real fast, real easy. I probably had this done in maybe 20 minutes. And now I can cut these out and actually attach them to the bottom or the backs of my furniture. But that's not all I can do. Let me show you a couple of other things I had fun making. So once again, using that Inkscape program and then putting it into the Laser GRBL, I was able to make a new sign for the outside of my shop. This was pretty fun, and a lot of the stuff, my logo was already done, so I just kind of dropped that in. There was another site that offered this free filigree. I'll put that in the link below. And I'm also going to put TJ Free's links down there below too, so you can learn everything that I learned. And then it goes right into the machine. And this actually took about 2 hours, just over 2 hours. And you know, I thought maybe that was a long time. But my friend John Krasinski stopped by, and John has a couple of laser engraving machines, and he was not only impressed how fast it was moving, but this was all done in just one pass, where he said his would have done multiple passes to get it this dark. So he was pretty impressed at how cool it was. And again, from it, I was able to, you know, make a couple other signs for the shop here. This one took about an hour to make. So it's not too bad, but as it is printing, it does create a little bit of smoke, so I had a fan here just to kind of have it circulate. And so overall, the engraving part went smooth. But then I wanted to move on to doing some cutting with it. Well, let me show you what I ran into with that. Now, the cutting test that I did, I started off and I kind of wasn't really keeping track of anything. I was just kind of guessing. And some of the cuts that I did came out nice and clean. Some cuts didn't go all the way through, and some cuts, well, I need to pay more attention to what I'm doing. Yeah, this can get a little bit dangerous. So just like any power equipment, you really shouldn't walk away from it. But honestly, it's kind of hard not to, because once it's working and going well, I mean, it seems silly just to sit here, but I should have known better. So one of the things that I did was I went to the big box store and I bought myself some sheet metal, so that way as it's going to burn through, I'm not going to burn my tabletop. The other thing is I know it cuts 1/4-inch plywood, so I wanted to see, well, how well will it do on 1/2-inch plywood? So I did 10 different passes, and I took in 3 things into account. I had the temperature of the laser, I had the speed of the laser, and then I had how many passes the laser could go. So I made a 1-inch circle in the program, and probably the best time I got was I had the speed set at 80. I made 3 passes, and the time it took per pass was right at a minute. So 3 minutes to cut that out. I went through and did a bunch of other tests. Another one that came up pretty successful was I had the speed at 100. It made 3 passes. This was only 47 seconds a pass, so again, under 3 minutes. It almost came through. It's really, really close. In fact, it breaks out, but I have some flaking of the backside of the board. So probably I'll go back to 80 and 3 passes. So then I wanted to take it up a notch, and I was curious, will it cut a 3/4 inch thick plywood? So I started off with the speeds, speed at 100, 2 passes, and nothing, didn't go anywhere. I kept going with it. I did 9 more tests. I slowed the speed down to 60 and made more passes, made 5 passes, but you can see it starting to burn. Still didn't come through the back. I sped it back up to 100. I made 10 passes going around, and you can see I'm just barely getting halfway on that. And then the machine comes with air assist. So they give you an air line, a little regulator, plugs into the machine. I hook this to my compressor, and essentially as it's pushing air in it, so you're pushing the laser deeper into the wood. And once I started doing that, you know, I was getting a little bit of a cleaner cut going down into it, but still, I was only getting about halfway. Ultimately, I wound up slowing the speed down to 75. I thought I'd make 10 passes, and I used the air assist, and once again, I walked away and had a fire. And so this turned around and had a fire going at 7 passes. And I will say, it's not like a raging fire. It's burning, but it's not like you know, I'm going to set off sprinklers or anything. So at any rate, overall, I think it does a great job. In conclusion, do I like this machine? Well, before I give you an answer, I actually had to stop and think about it, and it's not so straightforward. See, there's liking the machine and liking the technology. Let me explain. So let's use these 2 phones as an example. These both can represent the machine. Now, the difference between the flip phone and the iPhone, well, that's the technology. Now, if you're a guy like me who had a flip phone for the longest time and then you just jump to the latest iPhone, well, you're going to struggle with this machine because of the technology. However, if you just had last model's iPhone and then bought the latest version, you're going to have no problem with this machine. All in all, no matter what machines you're going to be using these days, whether it's a laser engraver, a CNC, a 3D printer, it's all going to require learning the technology. So, do I enjoy using this machine? I do. In fact, I enjoyed the whole experience. Yes, it required me to learn some software and some programs that I wasn't familiar with, but that's the direction the future is going. And I have to say, it got easier as I went along. I really do think this machine is something that's going to benefit my small shop, and I'll be able to use it on certain jobs. Now, if you think you would like to have a machine like this, Ortur has made a deal. By using the link below and entering in the promo code FAN105, you will actually get $105 taken off the purchase price of the machine. And if you're a guy like me who had a lot of questions and had some trouble, well, the online staff at Ortur was super helpful. Plus, there's a Facebook group page of people just for the Ortur Laser Master 2 and 3, and you have all different levels there. You have people that are pros, and you have absolute beginners like myself, and you can ask questions, and they even let you post and show the projects that you're making there in your shop. I think it's really neat, and I'm excited to actually do more with this machine. I know this episode is slightly different from what I usually do on my channel, but I thought it was a great example to show that no matter what level you're at, no matter how long you've been in this craft, there's always something new to learn. And trust me, this is going to be just the beginning of tools that are coming in the near future. I always encourage you to get out of your comfort zone, and this was a good example for me to try it myself. So as always, if you have questions that you're working on in your shop and would like some help, well, feel free to email me at woodchoppingtime@gmail.com. But don't ask me too many questions about this. I'm still learning. Well, as always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep on dancing.